adventurous ones might be vlogging. They might be out there doing more prank stuff. But, yeah, man, what I'm doing right now, again, I want it to be impactful, so I'm trying to take my influences from stand-up, golden age, or in the real world, put out a good comedy product, fucking with random people, going to places that I think are cool, and just making these 30-minute long, not corporate, not politically correct comedy pieces that you can't get anywhere else. I want it to be as unique as possible.
Did you have to, did you always know that you were going to be doing this really offensive, not type stuff, or is that something you just slowly kind of realize, this is basically who I am and what I want to be doing?
Dude, I don't know, man. It's Adam. I don't know where it comes from, dude. I'll be taking improv classes, and I have to shape up in improv, especially in LA too. Everybody's very professional, very straightforward and clean. But then I sit down to write, and every joke is a domestic violence joke, rape joke, racist joke. It just flows out of me, just offensive stuff. I was reading a joke that I wrote about hitting women that I was so proud of yesterday morning when I woke up. I was like, baby, listen to this. Right? I can't help it, dude. It's just some reason I'm an offensive person.
Right. And I get that. That's one of my main things. I feel like the fact that people think it's not good to joke around about offensive shit, that's going to be one of the worst things that has really developed during my life. The way to deal with something that is fucked up or traumatic, and it's just, you joke about it because you're not going to. Because you know that you wouldn't be able to go out and make those kind of jokes, the racial jokes. You wouldn't be able to do that if you were really racist. I can very much appreciate it because it's I just like shit that pushes that line, and as there becomes less and less of that, even hearing you say something like you're banned on Twitter, it's sad.
Tap dance, very offensive comedy, that fucking world. You being able to do that without being actually offensive or actually just demonstrates your social intelligence. Whereas I don't want to be around the guy who's completely clean, works at Morgan Stanley, and can't make any of these offensive jokes. Imagine how much of a psycho that guy is. Offensive, be involved in any sort of undesirable activities. Imagine how fucking, what is he jerking off to? What would the FBI do if they seized his hard drive?
And that's what's weird is that when I'm watching a video of you going to college campuses who have clearly absorbed this modern woke board of how you're supposed to act, and that to them is just the default. This is how the world is. They have no idea that this is
it's and I think a lot of people just do it out of fear, Adam, because they're worried for their careers. Definitely. They know that when they were in a kegger once in college, they grabbed a girl's ass after a couple Bud Lights, and they're terrified somebody had a flip phone video of that. And if they fill their Twitter feed with enough angry tweets at Donald Trump and enough cancel this guy, cancel that guy tweets, that maybe people overlook the iPhone video when it surfaces and they'll be out of ass. I think people adopt it as this offensive thing. Don't fuck with me, get that guy. I'll swing here, look at you.
And the idea of just being quiet, not loudly, I already have the comments that you said anything about Israel. It's motherfucker, I don't feel like it's my job to hone in on everything that I admittedly am not particularly knowledgeable about. The idea that everyone has to hop on that is fucking insane.
There's only so much bandwidth in our heads. You are concerned with music and fashion, and you're fucking in coffee, and you're fucking deep on that shit. How much time do people think you have to be reading newspapers and attending academic lectures on the state of Israel and Palestine?
I consider it a great privilege that I very much appreciate that there's a lot of political stuff that I don't have to talk about, because that just seems like everybody feels like it's their responsibility to have those conversations, and it feels good to be, I don't take that for granted, that I get to just sort of not comment on the most controversial things that I want nothing to do with.
And for me also, when I do a video on a political topic, I always just immediately adopt the side that is not the mainstream one. So right now, everybody's very anti-Israel probably, because they probably have some right to be, from what I understand. Israel's just fucking destroying Palestinian poor people, essentially. But I just want to go be pro-Palestine right now to piss people off. during the Me Too movement, I did a bunch of Me Too videos that were chock full of rape jokes, just because I immediately want to do what everybody else isn't doing.
I was crying, laughing last night watching you do the Me Too thing where you're like, here's a scenario. You wake up with your panties missing in the front yard of a frat house. Should you report it or just chalk it up to the game? And the girls were getting so mad at you for saying that.
Oh, yeah.
I was dying laughing at that shit.
Yeah, it's fucking great. If you can go there and you can just, you know what's going to push these people's buttons.
Right.
Like, isn't that more interesting than showing up with a hashtag I'm with her, fucking Bernie Sanders shirt, or like a BLM shirt? If you want to watch, maybe in a different part of life or a different industry, that those are the correct things to do. But for me, I want people to be entertained and watch. You want to see the guy go out there and be hated.
Right, and there's always been something about stand-up that I didn't really like, and I think it's, in a lot of ways, it's someone who is trained to be funny, going on stage to a bunch of people who are there to laugh, and then trying to be funny to them, and then they laugh, and it's just, this exchange seems too willing. Like, the idea of seeing you do this incredibly offensive humor to, like, an audience who has no idea it's coming, that's hilarious to me. That fills a completely different space in my brain.
Dude, it's hard, too, because you're going out and interacting with people who don't want to be around you and they end up hating you.
Right.
So I have to prep for video shoots like a linebacker preps for the Super Bowl.
Right.
I'm jogging around beforehand. I'm fucking listening to Avenged Sevenfold or whatever. You listen to a lot of douchey metal.
You have to, because you have to get into a different mindset. You have to be somebody other than yourself, even though you are yourself and you're walking around in your own body.
Yeah. You know, it's definitely tough, man. That's something I've struggled with. And I heard Conan O'Brien talking about this on a podcast recently, how 15 minutes before he goes to this comedy bit, he's this like, quiet, introverted, intellectual, thoughtful guy, and then he has to go play the buffoon when he's in public. And for me, it's that even more so, because I don't have the blessing of TBS and Coca-Cola and Mercedes-Benz advertising on me. So it's even less acceptable. So yeah, man, I have to get in that fucking mind state. And I think the best way for me to do it is just to shoot all the time. I'm shooting every weekend, I'm podcasting, I'm performing another every day to stay in that performance mindset.
One of the funniest things I've seen you do was when you were doing the Compton one, which I almost thought that I was done watching your videos, and then I saw the Compton one. I'm like, okay, I gotta watch the Compton one. And then there's a kid who's like blatantly fucked up on Xanax. And he's talking to him, and he starts saying something about how he beat his girl.
Yeah.
And it's funny to think, like, a lot of people would feel like it was it was beyond them. The onus was on them to basically explain to this guy that hitting a woman is not okay. And you do the total opposite, where you start encouraging him and just trying to get more information out of him about beating his girl. Yeah. And all of a sudden, he's just telling you shit. And I thought that was like the fucking funniest thing ever, to go into that world and then just embrace whatever the fuck he's talking about and just let him talk.
Sure, because everybody who has a brain knows this guy's a piece of garbage.
You should not beat your wife. Does that even need to be said?
Exactly.
You know?
And me telling him to not beat his wife isn't going to make him stop beating his wife.
Just wandering the streets of Compton at 6 in the morning off Xanax. Like, whatever you say is not going to change his behavior.
This guy has punched his ticket to prison. It's inevitable. He's going. Right. So why not just get more information out of this guy and see how big of a piece of shit he really is? And that guy, that saga turned into more, because in that video, he took us to a street where his good buddy El Diablo got quote-unquote smoked.
This is
by a
the
rival
most
gang.
offensive thing that I saw you do, was having him lay on the ground where his friend got killed, and then you pouring out fucking Aquafina all around him. I was like, if a lot of people that I know who live in Compton saw this, they might not like the idea of me interviewing this guy.
Absolutely. And he, right after that came out, he got numerous people who were friends with El Diablo in his gang, and he was trying to get that video taken down, but then he would FaceTime me and he'd be smoking meth, and he had all these paranoid fantasies like, they're coming for me, Daddy. I see him in front of my house at night. And nothing ever happened. He's still alive. He's still addicted to meth. He's still with his girlfriend. But, besides that, nothing happened. But yeah, dude, that turned into a big issue. That El Diablo candlelight vigil we had, where he laid down in the street.
Right. Was there any part of you that thought about taking it down on his behalf?
Yeah, I was about to, but then I would figure out that he was high on meth, just having paranoid fantasies, and it wasn't actually real. Once I realized he wasn't in jeopardy, you could see things dead. Streets of that neighborhood. That's the Crips, dude. They're coming for me. And like, that was the degree of shit he was telling me. So I let that one go.
What's really cool, I'm pretty sure that my friend lives like in the exact house in front of the water.
It's real dangerous down there.
Yeah.
We got warned by numerous people, hey, right now especially, a lot of hot shit's happening in the border, a lot of drugs, just coming in. And then also, I guess, buzzing with the police stuff, they have fewer resources to patrol those neighborhoods, so the violence has gone way, way up in South Central. Nobody really talks about that because the LA Times doesn't want to report that because it's not right. To say that defunding the police did something bad. Yeah, those neighborhoods are suffering. I think gun violence is up like 30 or 40%. And we were there right in the middle of that. Yeah. And we had to sleep next to the police station. We were so scared.
Did you have security with you or anything?
We had just a big guy who liked to get in street fights come, but
so
that's about it.
From your perspective, when you do something like that, you take a risk that a lot of people would say that you're totally out of your mind for doing. Like, even when I go to Compton, I very much like go out of my way. Like, I have multiple people that are familiar with that area that are going to be able to help me out or whatever. You're just like, whatever. If I die, I die.
Sure, man. Yeah, I think, I mean, to some extent, I would die for what I do. And if I'm not willing to risk my life doing what I want to do with my life, like what's the fucking point? I've already made a decision to not go to college, I went to college, but not go work at those white collar jobs. And I've made the decision to not care what my peers think of me, the people I went to school with, and my family. So I guess in doing that, death eventually is the price I'm willing to pay in pursuit of the life I ultimately want.
I respect that. Give me a hard time about going to a blog or whatever. I'm like, bro, do you know how remote the chance is that somebody's going to want to shoot me?
Yeah.
Like, the idea that somebody could get shot around here, like, you know how small a it is?
Yeah.
Even if somebody tried to shoot me, the odds of it killing me is pretty small. Like, I'm willing to take some reasonable measures so if I'm going to be able to make contact. You can't just, like, and I feel like I got that from riding bikes all those years. When I think about my 20s, we would be in the worst fucking projects in New York all the time. And we always just kind of figured, like, you gotta believe that, like, most people are pretty decent people that are gonna, like, see you doing something creative and not just immediately want to separate you from your possessions. And I mean, you know, for the most part, that's always pretty much worked out for my life.
Even Compton during the day was totally fine. People were super friendly. It was safe during the day. Right. But come nightfall, if you walk down the wrong residential streets, that's where it gets hairy.
Yeah, I've experienced that riding bikes in LA too, where, like, I lived downtown for a long time, and one day we're just pedaling through some random area. We turn down a random street, we see some ledge in the distance, we're pedaling towards it, and then it sort of starts to hit me like, oh, this is like a housing project right here. And then I see that there's a guy wearing all blue walking towards me, and he's got the meanest look ever, and I'm riding my bike towards him quite fast, and then he whistles. And that was the moment where I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody, let's fucking go. We turn around. That was definitely the moment where, you know, there's just certain places that you just really cannot go.
Yeah.
In people's neighborhoods that just get super protective about it.
Probably the worst they would have done was just take your bikes, though, right? I mean, they don't have any desire to cause you harm for being a BMX kid.
Because at the end of the day, like, murdering somebody is a very big deal, no matter where you are.
Yeah.
Like, if you could take their backpack, that would probably be enough. That's what I was figuring with you. And, like, you know, on one hand, yes, people are super territorial about their areas and Compton and stuff, but then at the same time, you, like a white guy who's, like, clearly joking around and he's got a camera pointed at him the whole time is like, are they really going to see you as a threat or, like, potentially, like, damaging to whatever they got going on out there? Probably not.
Well, some people, especially when you're young, you're concerned with respect and other people's image of you. And especially when you grow up in those bad neighborhoods where there is no opportunity. I actually think disrespecting you on camera, me coming up and making a joke at your expense, could be something that they're willing to die for, much like I'm willing to die to put out good content. So I didn't necessarily feel safe at all going up to people in Compton at night and fucking with them. Because there are people, I mean, people do it all the time. my dad is a judge, and I used to sit in on his cases when I was a kid. People would have a disagreement at a fucking birthday party over a drink getting spilled on somebody's shoes, and they would go out front and somebody would get shot over that. People just value ridiculous shit sometimes when they're young, when they don't have good influences in their life.
But, okay, in your mind, how much separation is there between going to a college campus and fucking with a bunch of feminist chicks versus going to Compton and fucking with people who, like, in many cases probably like live on the street? Like, how differently do you think about it?
It's actually pretty similar. Even though you know there's no risk in fucking with the feminists, part of human beings doesn't want everybody to hate them, which is why it's always a struggle to get my mind in the right place for our videos. So in the video you're talking about, an entire quad, an entire, like, it was, people were selling clothes. It was like a swap meet. The entire swap meet was screaming at me.
The girl goes, I'm a lawyer. You go, you're a lawyer. Why are you selling shirts for $5?
Yeah, something like that. But it's not easy for everybody to be screaming at you and wishing death upon you, and your brain doesn't differentiate between the people who can cause you harm and don't cause you harm. It just it all feels the same.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that is like the whole thing with what you're doing, though. Is like I see you pushing the limit. Like I saw you were just playing the guitar, and there's just some homeless guy sitting there, and you're just insulting him so bad and giving him the most shit. And at a certain point, he's just like, "What the fuck?" And you kind of like break your head. You're like, "Man, I'm just doing comedy. I'm fucking sorry.
Oh,
bro.
yeah,
This is not too far."
Yeah, I remember that. Absolutely. I'm trying to get better at doing comedy that people can laugh with me instead of everybody watching the video laughing at that person. I want to get better. And be, because when I started out, I definitely just wanted to be Howard Stern and be insulting and abrasive and just piss people off and get screamed at and people trying to fight me. I'm trying to, maybe for my own sanity, go out and shoot content now where everybody has a good time. And again, I'm so naturally offensive that I don't think that's ever going to totally come to fruition. But I am working.
Yes.
And that homeless guy you're talking about, those are pretty innocent jokes. He's had a shitty sense of humor.
They blown that incident at the shrine. Shouldn't they believe in forgiving and forgetting? Well, I have news for them.
Guitar, stand-up comedy, Jeff Ross
Yes,
style
yes,
roast.
That was funny to me because it's like, oh, Danny plays the guitar as well. Why
Yeah.
you're just incorporating all these different skills into it. That was
Yeah.
cool.
Did you play guitar at all growing up?
I never even thought about it.
Dude, I used to try to get laid. I'm like fucking the shitty kid who pulled my guitar out of the party and played the song. I was that fucking douche. And I would tell girls I wrote these songs, and then I would just like start fucking playing something by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, or start playing some little fucking acoustic baby. Yeah, maybe I wrote this for you. And start playing something exciting. And when I was in community college, and I was super insecure, just trying to find my empty body identity of some sort.
How long can the personality type video?
I like it. Him and I talked. Yeah, he's cool.
I just interviewed him.
Yeah.
And, he was talking about why how long did it not like all those people? I know they went to college and it was immediately over. You know, and I feel like some people that with the culture stick with them for life, like with the rap shit. Like somebody gets a rap in high school, they're just gonna stay in the rap forever, likely. You know, maybe they're not gonna rapper, but it seems like that shit with it for a long time.
Yeah, and what you're a fan of and what you do with your life, you have to choose. Music and podcasting, you can, even if hip-hop dies, and even if hip-hop is soon in a place like rock is now, where it's kind of dead, you'll adapt. There'll be other forms of music that you like, enjoy, and you talk about. Comedy. But you can just adapt those same skills to stage or podcast. We know wisely what to do with our lives, and people like or especially scooter riders, they didn't choose one. And you have to consider that before you go all in on a pursuit. is it realistic? Probably not going to be able to make an NFL season because I won 5.40. What else can I do? And for me, that was, after I analyzed my past, I was good at writing and comedy, and I was like that.
Yeah, and it's weird, like, certain things, like the BMX thing, like, I know everything, basically, that there is to know about everything.
Sabine Neumann, FaceTime video.
What time period every trick got invented, and brands, etc. Now, BMX wasn't that big at that time, even when I was in high school and shit, but now it's like completely, like all this stuff I have in my brain is just useless to all the people that I have conversations with. And yeah, that's just kind of growing up and like how it's at a certain point that like have no cultural currency as you get older.
What was the peak of BMX popularity-wise?
I'm going to say X Games-ish era around like 98, 99, and then there was another big spike around like 2007 when like there started to be affordable fleet bikes and stuff, and then honestly the market spiked again during COVID, and time will tell if that continues to sort of be a thing, but for a while like people really were buying bikes, like you couldn't buy a fucking tube in a bike shop. Because there's crazy demand, and also the factory slowdown.
Yeah, for me, I rode bikes a little bit as a kid, and I had a mongoose, and I wanted to get a flying fortress because you use it as transportation to school a lot of young kids.
And that's where everybody who's into bike riding kind of comes from. Like, there's this sweet spot in your life where you sort of want a bike around 13, 14 before you can get a car. But unlike skateboarding, like, very few people stick with BMX in high school, whereas with skateboarding, it's much more of a real culture around it. You can throw 5 skateboards in the trunk and everybody just goes to skate park. It's like much more manageable. Like BMX is kind of more of this overall lifestyle choice that's a little harder to manage.
Yeah, if you see a guy on a BMX bike over the age of 18, he has a DUI or he's homeless.
Yeah. Or like 1% of them are like actually doing tricks, and this is like their subculture.
Yeah, and I don't think I've seen anybody over 18 doing tricks on a bike in a long time.
I've seen people like in the background of your videos, but this is what's called erasure, that he's trying to act like we don't exist.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to minimize your pain.
I understand the irrelevancy of the subculture that I spent a large portion of my life paying attention to, which is why I'm now making up for it by doing content about the most popular form of music in America.
Dude, BMX is actually fucking gnarly, man.
It is fun. I can show you all kinds of crazy shit, like I'm saying. Like, there's a dude I literally went viral from doing like a 90 stair rail on the beach in LA.
Yeah.
His bike exploded basically doing it, and they now cap the rail so nobody could ever do it. But just like, I still see bike tricks all the time that blow my fucking mind. Like, there's still people going hard as fuck. Yeah. It's just to a smaller audience than when I was a kid, you know?
Yeah, dude, it's fucking, you can get so much more speed on a bike. And you can conquer bigger terrain because you have these big fucking wheels. But bailing out, like imagine trying to bunny hop El Toro, realizing you'd fucked up and trying to bail on a bike. It's a lot bigger issue when you have a 30-pound horse pretty much underneath you versus a little wooden skateboard.
Like, I filmed the first ever bar spin down El Toro, and I filmed the first ever 360 bar spin down El Toro, and yeah, like when a bike rider falls on a 20 stair, it just produces a very different effect than when a skater does. Like, I've seen so many skaters try something down El Toro and just basically roll out of it.
Yeah.
And obviously it's still very, very easy to get hurt, but like I've never seen anybody get really, truly destroyed on El Toro.
Yeah.
Whereas with a bike, like if you try to bar spin, your bars don't go the whole way around. Like, you're gonna get that fucking bar to your stomach. This big machine is just gonna pulverize you. Whereas rolling away on a skateboard or like doing a tumble is a lot more realistic.
Yeah, you can't. El Toro, by the way, for people who don't know, is a famous 20 stair. Is it in the valley?
It's it's at El Toro High School down in like I forget. It's like in the OC, but it's totally not usable at all anymore. They have giant gate up there.
Yeah. It was the go-to big spot and it's like a watershed moment whenever somebody does a new trick down it. It's for a long time. And kickflip was the only thing anybody had thrown down El Toro. Then 10 years went by, and I can't even think of the next trick somebody did down it.
There's been some, but there's the guy that did a tray flip down it, and then his fucking wheels broke when he landed, so his board started immediately steering in a weird direction, but he did land it, like, he did it, but then his board, like, malfunctioned. He stayed on the board, but it swerved.
That was a 3 flip, huh?
Yeah.
So Chris Jocelyn was supposed to go down there and do it, but Chris Jocelyn because once you 3 flip El Toro, there's nowhere to go in your career.
Right.
You've peaked. And I know people have been doing gnarly shit on the rails and BMX. I'm sure it's got its own scene too, but hopping down that shit on a bike, there are so many more ways you can either lose your testicles or wind up on your head. Versus a skateboard where your feet are going to get fucked up. You might break an ankle, but you're not going to die.
Right. I actually filmed my friend Brandon Deegan attempting to half cab it on a bike, and
He came at it fakie?
Yeah.
He rode at it backwards, which is just hard to even imagine.
He his head so bad viral that notably Urkel shared it on his Facebook page. Whoever's running Urkel's Facebook page.
Urkel's not the dead one, right? He's against Gary Coleman.
No, what's his real name though? Stefan Urkel? No. Urkel real name? Nobody told me.
It's that's not good. Yeah, that's not something you want for a celebrity like Urkel resharing your half cab bail down El Toro.
How often do you deal with like people being upset?
Yeah, I mean YouTube. I think they realize there's this big thing that television has to do that everybody sign their consent to be on camera, and it really limits what television shows can do as far as hidden camera stuff, because they have to bribe people to get signatures. They have to fucking upset. Like, hey, can you please hear this? For us, we don't have to deal with that, and I think YouTube knows they can't police that. There's no way they can police people signing their consent to appear in YouTube videos.
Right.
So it's the wild. People can file privacy complaints. You have to see the video. And then worst case, you just have to blur it. There's no penalty. So there's not much incentive for me as a creator to get people's consent to appear on camera.
But I noticed you'll seemingly like proactively blur people that you can tell that they're really upset.
Sure. And if they know the channel, and if they find me on Instagram, like, hey, you better not fucking use that footage, I'll blur their face.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if they don't say anything and they're just mad, I'm not going to blur them.
Right. That's interesting. That makes sense. Okay, I'm interested in like the progression of the channel in general. Like, was there ever a video or a prank that you did in particular that just really stood out to you as this is a watershed moment in my content? This is like, now I know what I'm doing. Also, pause one thing. I'm doing that.
Sure, man. Some training process has to follow that, right?
I feel like in their culture, maybe like just jerk a guy off that other ordinary. I'd be emphasized. Like I don't know. I don't think they're doing that many non-jobs about it.
They're definitely not, but it's all Russian and Asian women, from my experience too. And those are two very different cultures that both massages and hand jobs. It seems like it's not cultural. I think there's some training going on.
Every time I got a blowjob at a con in Asia, and I was paying for it, which country? China and Thailand.
Thailand is culture somebody at the world.
Yeah. One time when I was in Thailand, I was always curious about and the whole time I was there on a BMX trip, but I never saw any sign of anything like that. But then one time I saw like a sign with an anti symbol, and then like a there's something to like no child sex here, but I was like, what's that sign on the house?
I don't know. I never got about alcohol for our finale.
Wait, okay, so
hecklers every time he did a press conference, and it was pretty fucking fun.
Yeah, if you live on the right side, that was an enjoyable part of it. I feel like I learned a lot from like watching Trump over the years, because if you want to model yourself after something really big, well, I can't put him in It seemed like more obsessed with what people think of him than like what the president before him.
Yeah, absolutely. He did lean into that heel role, though, as did Howard Stern, who's one of my influences. And when I first started YouTube, I was burned bridges everywhere. Fuck that. It's so I realized I'm not good at dealing with the backlash that comes from speaking your mind all the time. Yeah. Yeah, totally. And you have to be a little bit of a passion. Speak your mind about everything and constantly talk shit about people in your industry. Right. Because eventually, maybe you aren't going to miss an opportunity to work with them, but they're going to be friends with somebody you can't work with now because you tweeted that person A like 5 years ago. Right. So I've been working with them.
Yeah, like I was watching a podcast with, I think it was an episode about for whatever, when that shit came out about him, and your buddy who was on the show with you was just quick to disrupt jobs. I saw it in his eyes that quite clearly, like pretty much anybody with a functioning brain agrees there's an algorithm hopping on and thinking like, oh, he wants to be on Joe Rogan, so hold on to that. Thank you.
hip-hop, what's the greatest hip-hop album in your opinion that I can check out?
That era and that place. I mean, I guess I would throw out that. I mean, I'll say now, Nomadic is like, yeah, like one of like really hear the best rap like early '90s New York City shit. Even like I'm kind of struggling with what year the album I want to say because like the Blueprint was like the first big, it was the first album, but then like I feel like the Blueprint was really great the album. Like for me, I still end up going back to all these Tupac albums and All Eyes on Me, The World a lot. You know, like, but certain albums that I really, really loved during my childhood don't necessarily hit the same. Like I listened to Sam Forever the other day, and it definitely wasn't. Like I just don't get much from it in the way that I did when I was a kid. There's certain albums really old that just don't, and now I just don't really listen to music on like an album basis nearly as much. It's much more like song video.
Yeah, man, I used to listen to a lot of albums. I was just too and now I have to listen to comedy and stand-up for my work, so for me back. Yeah.
Do you feel like you are better as a comedian by consuming a shitload of comedy?
Totally, man. And even, I think, objectively, yes, but also, I don't feel confident if I haven't. I think videos I do is very much something you need to constantly stay sharp at to be good. And if you had a week where you were out chasing pussy, on Friday, the confidence that you're going to be right. You're not going to believe you then it'll be my divine right to succeed. But if I don't do that, I'm going to fail.
For me, I just don't listen to watch that many rap podcasts. It's so close to like that I feel like I just have something that I can start talking about on the podcast.
It's also, I will listen to stand-up and I watch The Simpsons or I watch Nathan For You or some comedy show. I don't watch other YouTube comedians. And I think if you start doing competitors, those are other people in your niche. And if you start adopting their mannerisms or being influenced by them, that's not good if you sound like your competitors. Right. So I just stay off YouTube. I'm only influenced by outside companies.
Switching back and forth from just enjoying it and thinking like, oh, that's a great joke, or that's a great joke. What's my version of that joke, or what's the version of that I can do?
Yeah. Dude, like anything, if your job was to fuck supermodels, which is essentially what being a porn star is, like how many porn stars kill themselves from overdose on heroin? Fucking lot. Like my job was lying around eating cheeseburgers and jerking off. If I got paid $500K a year to do that, eating cheeseburgers and jerking off. Exactly. Yeah, so for me, comedy is like, yeah, I still laugh at shit, but
Told him to put a condom on it and fuck the woman that he was with.
his Bible. How many years since that those ridiculous white robes of hers? Yes, it's true. She's as nasty as they come. And she's a demon to boot. Not that it surprises me. You could do worse than keep some lotuses for protection. The price of survival can never be too high. And she's a demon to boot. Curses. Witch.
So, are you like, you go out and film every week, but it seems like you feel like you need to have this back. Yeah. So you're just kind of like taking it to the city out of the hat every weekend?
Yeah, somebody told me, I have this guy across BBC, I've already mentioned it. He says he feels liberated. I feel liberated when my plane touches down in Wichita, Kansas, or Tulsa, Oklahoma, because I can metaphorically burn that motherfucker to the ground, and there'll be almost no consequences when I come back to LA. I'm not going to see anybody I know, even though in LA there's really cool but still, psychologically, you feel free when you're in some place where you know nobody and you're never coming back to it. Right. For the shit we do, it matters.
Yeah, I remember when Nelk was first we had them come to my store in Melrose at one point, and they picked up a SoundCloud rapper, and they went out in front of the store. There was like a big line for this movie with somebody, I forget, and they were basically trying to do these pranks with people in the line, and everyone recognized
I remember that video.
And that just became a huge issue where, like, all of a sudden we had them in bag. We're trying to, like, get pranks going with the rappers who maybe won't know who these guys are and stuff. But, I mean, they were, and that was a couple of years ago, and they were already way too famous to really be able to pull that off. I'm assuming you're kind of quickly getting there.
Dude, definitely not in the scheme of things. Like, if I go out and pull some sort of prank, it's happened a couple of times and been recognized, but it's never affected anything. I mean, that was going right for their target demographic.
If you're going over a 40-year-old woman, it's a very low chance they're going to know you, but if you go for
Yeah, and that's one of the cool things about today. Is like, I guess we're sort of famous, but now there's so many more famous people in the scene that, like, the Leonardo DiCaprio is famous, and so it's nice. Like, we get recognized by fans. For us, and I hope that being like the fame parts of what we do just fucking sucks. Like, does anything good come from that? Like, I like that we make it fame you retire it, but the fame part is people need to show
we had minorities on here the other day, and we were talking about girls and stuff, and it's just quickly appearing to me that we think of women as being capable of so much worse shit in LA. These guys are from Sacramento, and they like hang out with girls that they meet at the bar or some shit, and all the shit about like girls wanting expensive gifts and like girls setting you up to get robbed and shit. They're like cause drama. They've never heard of any of this, whereas like we know people who've actually had this happen to them.
Yourself out of the danger. Go too far on that fucking road. Like that level of plastic surgery just tells me she has deep-rooted emotional issues. And like imagine taking a chick who looked like that back to your parents. And I think some girls who are insecure, they see those girls on Instagram, they want to look like that. They don't realize that's not what men want. Like chicks always want to be rail thin because other girls are rail thin in interviews, but guys don't want that.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, sometimes all my girls come here to do interviews and they'll just be like random guys around for that. And the way that these guys' brains just stop operating when they see a fake ass it's crazy. And I mean, I'm totally the same exact way. Even if it's too big and I'm like looking at it like, oh, it's gross. I've watched like grown-ass men, their IQ drops to like 40 and they look like they're about to start slobbering all over themselves just by looking at one fake ass.
Yeah. Well, we haven't had time to adjust to it. Fake tits, they've entered the culture. Most people, we've all been with a pair of fake tits. We've been there, we've squeezed them, we know what it's like. I have never had sex with a girl who had a fake ass. And I assume most of the people whose IQ drops when the fake ass walks into the room, maybe they haven't experienced it either.
It's a lot harder to spot it because it's a little less obvious. Like there are girls who have fake asses that nobody knows they have fake asses. Fake.
Yeah, dude, fake ass. My girlfriend and I were talking about that. You can't work out hard, I guess. Any kind of contact sport, snowboarding's out. You can't do that if you got a fake ass.
Yeah, but it's just a fat transfer. 99% of the time, girls get it done these days. Like the ass implant, I fuck girls with my girls who have ass implants, which feels wicked. You go to grab their ass, feel like the plastic separation between their ass and whereas with the fat transfer, like where they just take it out of their stomach and put it in their ass, it could definitely be weird. Like it could definitely like sit wrong, and you can see it looking crazy as fuck. But it's much more likely to sort of just coast by without people necessarily noticing.
Can you get a lot of size added to your ass with fat transplant? Oh,
that's what 90% of these girls get fake ass these days.
That's stealthy. I don't think I can pick that up yet. The ones I'm talking about are the implants. The ones where the chick's hips physically widen out because they have these two airbags.
There is a trans girl that I 6 months ago, and hip implants, and I'm looking at that like, oh my god, I would never be able to tell that you were born a man, saying strictly. I would never be able to tell that you were a biological male if I didn't, like, so the hip implants trick your brain to a whole different level.
Nuts, dude.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's one of the most attractive things that men find in women is their ratio of their waist to all of them. That's what it's about. Yeah, so if a girl has wide hips, it's pretty way you're going to be attracted to it. And for chicks, they think that they're going to be shoulder to hip ratio. Like I have wide shoulders and a narrow waist is what I love. Yeah, that's what girls get fun. Even if it's subconscious, like they pick up on that, they fucking love it. I think it's all around. It's incentive not to fuck. That's one of the great things about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is you think
probably the craziest workout ever.
Yeah, it's the best because you reach new levels of working out.
Devastating workout. Like I just remember days where I would just go back to the house, I would do jiu-jitsu for like an hour, and it
face ski coach. Dude, it's the best. Down here, I mean, right now, you're wearing a hoodie and a simulated gi. I'm wearing a t-shirt, not so much. But another thing that is good about it, even if the hypothetical fight never comes, and it did. My comedy and the shit we film out in public, I have way more confidence when I'm training jiu-jitsu to have people not like me to create a scene because I feel confident I can defend myself if somebody gets so offended they want to come hit. Right. So it helps my comedy actually being good at jiu-jitsu.
I would notice that too for sure. Like going to the bar after jiu-jitsu during that day where I would just feel so ready for anything. You got a guy on top of you trying to kill you for an hour. That's like worse than pretty much anything that's going to happen to you in your real life. Sure. So it just really gets you into
going out to the bar. He walk into this locker room, take off his gi, grab a comb, and start slicking his hair. Hey, what are you doing? For the club. You're not gonna shower? No, we love the smell of man. Would throw on a button up, and then with arms on his face, he got sweat all over him.
That's disgusting. Within like the first couple weeks of me doing jiu-jitsu, I gave somebody ringworm or got for sure. We were like training this exact exercise together, but my knee, arm, we both got ringworm in that exact, or no, staph infection, in that exact same spot. Which to me, that's the biggest reason to take a shower after jiu-jitsu. Is for sure shit flowing on your body.
Yeah. It's fucking gnarly. I had really bad MRSA staph infections for a while. Like antibiotic-resistant infections. You had those?
Oh, they were resistant.
Yeah, it was fucking scary, dude. I had to get my arm lanced once. It was completely swollen up like a Civil War soldier with a fucking splinter of wood stuck in his arm, or they had to amputate. Wow. They would have had to amputate my arm if it was 100 years ago. And that was from jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I remember around that time period, too, I was doing a lot of coke. And staph infection within my nose, which I could probably assume that's something to do with the hospital, but then going every day so much
the problem with coke, I like Adderall. That's whatever. It sucks, dude. Because like when I drink now, I go to bed so early that I kind of like I like to take an Adderall so I can stay up later and party. Because I only drink a couple times a year, despite me currently hammering down a numb rub. I don't think people are gonna believe it. But yeah, the thing with coke that I saw a lot of my buddies get into is that once you start getting into coke, it just becomes a companion to alcohol. Exactly. If you're going out to the bar, there's no reason not to do a couple of lines beforehand. Because people will do whatever it takes to feel no pain and not feel any shame about going and trying to get laid. Like, when you're on a line of coke, you can walk up to the prettiest girl in the bar and ask for her phone number in front of a table of investment bankers and not worry about the rejection.
Yeah.
So people they'll chase that feeling no matter what it takes.
Yeah, we all know what it's like to drink until the point where you basically have to, like, go home or go to bed or... And coke just gives you this superpower to just blast past that, and all of a sudden you can drink a whole shitload more. That's what really fucked up partying for me, is once I got to the point of drinking, finding coke, doing the coke to keep drinking, and then also at some point starting to like either drink lean or take pills during that. That's when it started to get really bad, and I basically just stopped at some point.
Yeah, were you having weekends out in Vegas or something where you needed to keep going for 2 or 3 days? And that's where coke becomes really fucking attractive.
Not even in Vegas, we were just doing it in Hollywood, but yeah, it was just wilding out way too crazy.
What kind of pills were you taking?
Xans mostly, perks here and there.
Never taken that. How bad did it get? What was your rock bottom?
It was, I didn't really have like a rock bottom, like when I, like, because one time I like shared all this with a fucking journalist who was writing an article about me, and he just wrote, Mr. Grimace and his struggle with Xanax addiction, yada yada. I'm like, I don't really feel like I was ever like addicted like that. I was just partying. And then at a certain point it was like, oh, I partied Saturday night and I didn't feel better until like Monday night. That was pretty much when I was like, okay, I'm not, I can't keep doing this. It's really starting to, or I was going out partying and having interviews booked the next day and just saying fuck it and getting like an hour's sleep or not sleeping at all and coming in to do interviews, and really starting to make me feel like, okay, I'm doing a terrible job at my job because of the party. And so, yeah.
How many days a week were you going out?
I was kind of on like a Friday through Sunday thing for a while, or even like a Thursday through Saturday night, Sunday morning type thing, you know?
So yeah, you and I are pretty similar because I drank this was a fucking rare occasion I drank, but the same thing with me, dude. I started to be hungover until Tuesday in the week, and I couldn't tolerate that. And yeah, I would go to Vegas, and it would be for Memorial Day weekend, and I would be pouring booze into my fucking face hole from Friday afternoon till Sunday. Right. And the only way to sustain that and have, quote unquote, the best time possible in your mind is just to do coke to keep you awake for the day party, the night party. And then you're driving back up to San Francisco where you have work on Tuesday, and all your endorphins are gone, and you just feel like killing yourself. Like,
when I see people doing that shit now, it's just like, it just doesn't seem attractive to me at all. And every time, like, I remember one of the last times I went out partying was I was with my girl and a bunch of other porn stars in Miami for New Year's, and we went out to Club Live, and one of the girls at the table, and like there's all these, you know, we're talking to all these people, whatever. I've been with a bunch of hot girls in the VIP, and I was fucked up too. But even, it seemed stupid to me, even being fucked up. Like even my fucked up brain was like, this is dumb. Like, this is a waste of your fucking time and potential. Yeah. And even my fucking Molly coked out brain could see that. And that was a big moment. And I remember, like, you know, all of a sudden it's 5 a.m. We actually had, like, the best orgy experience probably of my whole life that night.
Yeah, don't do drugs, kids. You're going to have kick-ass orgies.
Yeah, it'll be terrible. And, but then those girls wanted to go to the beach at, like, 5, 6 in the morning to, like, sleep on the beach and then keep partying or whatever. And I'm just like, I can't do this. Like, I'm going back home. I'm going to sleep, you know? And that just, at a certain point, like, when you really start to, like, weigh the pros and cons of what you're doing, that's when partying doesn't seem like it makes any sense. Like, when you're young enough to not be thinking about the pros and cons, you can kind of do whatever. But as soon as I got to the point where I'm actually considering I'm doing this instead of this, and I can't do both, then you have to start making these hard choices. You know?
I think the difference for you and I is that we love what we do. So getting fucked up is damaging to what we love to do, and therefore we realize that at some point and we stop. But a lot of my buddies who love to drink and do coke, they work in real estate and they don't love it. Or they work for a big company as a recruiter or something. They don't give a shit about the quality of their work. So what's being hung over on Monday? It's nothing. For them, their escape is when they clock out on Friday up until when they have to go back to work on Monday morning, and they just want to maximize the fun they have in that. So when they, like, when I was 26, 27, I realized I needed to start dialing back my partying. They're going to keep partying until they're 50 or 60. They're never going to have that reality moment that you just described. Hey, like, I can see the consequences of this even when I'm high on Molly about to have a fucking orgy. It's still not what I want to be doing at the time.
Yeah, totally. Once you start looking at things like that, it's just, you know, that's where life is really about, is like the slow process of learning that it makes more sense for you to act on your own behalf. You know, like if you're doing something and it makes you unhappy, you can just stop. You can just not do that. And I mean, that to me is what kind of led me here. And especially now having a kid, I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to justify going out and partying and shit when I could reasonably spend that time with my kid? And the after effects is going to be that I'm going to be way less present and less happy while I'm spending time with my kid because I'm going to be hungover the next day or whatever. I couldn't really imagine it at this point. Although one time I did get drunk on this podcast and then went home and played with my kid while I was really drunk, and that was super fun.
Okay.
I was very in the moment.
It could be dangerous too, but
yeah, I was thinking about that. I was like, I don't want to take any risks. I don't want to be like throwing her in the air right now. I don't know if she might hit the ceiling or something.
Exactly. You're a big dude.
You guys gonna have kids soon?
I actually didn't wear a condom last night. I have been replacing her birth control with Tic Tacs. No, I'm curious, man. What is having a kid like? Because that's something that I can't. I mean, I'm 30 now, and like being in a serious relationship. This is the first long-term serious relationship I've been in, so I know what that's like.
got some balls. He didn't even ask. Went all the way and said we're going to have another woman moving into the house shortly. So I think that Paige is perfectly within her right to feel upset about this stunt that this douchebag is trying to pull. You can't just like you're bringing a stray dog bird, adding a little sweet treat to the grocery basket. But hey, I gotta say, I appreciate the effort. What are you going to get? You're going to get some mirrors put on the ceiling so you can see who's tugging your chain every night. And Paige is having such a tough time dealing with this. Hey, in attempts to comfort Paige before taking her man out for the night. What a two-faced women were ugly like some dogs.
You're looking for someone else because I'm not doing everything I can to make them happy.
I actually feel really bad for Paige. In my opinion, this should be an even playing field. Like, if he's gonna do this, she should be gaps seeking some other husbands to bring to the house. Now, how would Mr. Waterbury like that? Just does what that's what God told him to do. It's just his mission. And so, bro, a bit of steam, you know what I mean? He puts the moves on Brandy while taking her out to the golf course. I gotta say, this guy is
I got this.
You think? He's like,
oh wait, not last hole. Let's have sex.
so that way.
Sex? Are we gonna have sex now?
I mean, seriously, could this dude get any creepier right now? Oh, wait.
I'd like to have a little affection. Haven't kissed her, but I wish I could.
So this man is ready to move quick. He's like, damn, I went through 18 holes of ass mini golf. I'm about to, at the very least, get a kiss goodnight, goddammit. All week, he's just been walking around the house staring at her with his nasty face.
Oh, I think I can still do that, man.
He just looks at her with such a creepy, demanding face. And the way he approaches her would make anyone's skin crawl.
Let's go home, make sure everybody's good.
Let's do that.
All right.
This man was really feeling himself while she was about ready to get this man really having second thoughts about his lifestyle. Well, everyone besides Bernie, who's just working on wife number 3 and 4 as we speak. Paige, on the other hand, has been back home just cooking like a smoked turkey. She's just beyond over the shenanigans. She's beyond over the shenanigans. Randy staying in her place. I bet she really wants to whoop Bernie's ass. But honestly, this woman is husband. She's just lying to herself with all this religious epiphany.
And he is really excited right now, and he's really happy. I can't go to him and say, hey, this hurts me, and I'm going to start crying, and I don't know if I can do this.
And you can only help some people so much. Some people out here, and they never even want to help themselves. This guy's obviously tired and over their relationship at this point, so he's just trying to pull this little stunt. But this woman is equally as stupid for putting up with him, just sitting back crying while he's out creeping around. Someone please euthanize this man. He's just disgusting. I think he's a threat to everyone's public safety. But what do you guys think about this clip? Do you think you could have some sort of sister wives? Guys, could you be married to 2 women? Women, could you be married to 2 men? Let me know down below in the comment section today. As always, smash that like button. Let's go for like 4,000 likes to this one. I want to thank you guys for subscribing today. This is your boy, the Tan Superman. I'm out, guys. Peace. So before the video starts, I just want to put a disclaimer out there saying that these views are all my opinion and based off of the information I've gathered from various sources. Much of this information is still alleged at this time, and you should always form your own opinions. My point of this video is not to hurt anyone or to damage anyone's career, but to shine light on and examine the situation and help dialogue down in the comment section. Thank you for watching, and be prepared for this one to be pretty deep. Okay, so David Dobrik is one of the most famous people on the internet today. He's one of those people who I would say is so famous that he crosses over into the world of celebrity. I've never personally understood all the little douchebags got together and this guy is more than the Ellen DeGeneres of my generation. He puts on a good face for the media and always makes himself look like the shining little star in his videos, but in the background lies some deep, dark secrets and possibly illegal behavior. Because until now, David was known almost exclusively for having an extremely clean and in a way family-friendly persona. And a lot of people saw him as one of YouTube's golden children who could do no wrong. Oh, that's just David being David type shit. And it's ironic because someone like Jake Paul has been flamed his entire career for his many missteps along the way, especially in regards to how he treats others. When in reality, these two are not very far apart. And I would go as far as to say I would trust Jake more. At least Jake will stab you in your chest and own up to it. David seems like the type of guy to stab you in the back and act like you fell on his blade. And this whole investigation into David's past has really been brought to the forefront by H3H3's Ethan Klein and Trisha Paytas on their somewhat new podcast, Friends, where I actually feel like he should have shown quite a bit of character development. It all started when Trisha started talking about David's sketchy past and the way he would treat the members of his vlog squad, which is a large, ever-cycling group of features in his very popular vlogs. Trisha used to be a part of this group, nicknamed his right-hand man, Jason Nash. She describes multiple instances where David took it too far for the sake of content, refusing to put her relationship in jeopardy.
Guys, chill. This is the stupidest fucking fight ever. Yo, did you actually get a break on the fan or did you take it down?
I lose my shit. I completely
Why did you take your clothes off?
Because I didn't want him to use it in the vlog. I'm like, if I get completely naked, he can't use it. You'll see he like leaves it in and like blurs it out. And like when it was an actual thing where we told him like this is not funny, like, and they didn't make it for a while.
You said you're not supposed to.
So he did this for months, and this is like the final time when we really blew up and I'm like, don't fucking do no joke. He stopped until he needed to get me out of the vlog club.
Now from here, Trisha and Ethan started diving into more of the experiences of the other former Vlog Squad members. A guy who goes by the name Big Nick describes his experience with David as a never-ending roast session where everyone felt like they could make fun of his height simply because David did it so frequently, even saying that he felt like the sole purpose of being in the Vlog Squad was to be made fun of and laughed at due to his dwarfism, even recalling times when fans would come up and say rude things as well. You made this Vlog Squad sound like much more of a cult with the leader at the top being David than some sort of fun video group. A cult with everyone below kissing David's ass in hopes of precious time in his vlog, which of course equals a lot of potential exposure and money. So that was a great sketch. But then they got this guy Seth experiences with David. You see, Seth is a black man in Compton, California, one of the most violent places in America. I mention that because it's very important to his story. You see, Seth was desperate to make a new life for himself and ready to try out the whole influencer moving to LA thing. Seeing as he was so desperate, David scooped him up and made him the latest pawn in his master plan. Constantly expense. To make matters much, much worse, Seth has nothing short of absolute filth from David and his friend Jason. You see, Seth had a crush on this model in the group named Corinna. Everyone knows this, so David thought it would be great material for the vlog to trick Seth into thinking he was making out with Corinna behind an old man mask, but he was actually making out with a 45-year-old Jason Nash. A man who has an ex-wife and kids at home, but does whatever David tells him to like his little puppet. I'm not going to show the kiss here because David has been adamant about getting those videos struck down, but you can definitely find it out. It's truly a disgusting sight to see as Jason makes absolutely no attempt to pull away as the kiss lasts well over 40 seconds. It really was an absolute big shit. I feel like they would have been called out a long time ago. This information is David was saying that session is better and knowing that a friend is coming, or that it's not a big deal, this is just what friends do. Some even questioned why Seth didn't say anything years ago when this happened. And to me, who cares when he brings it up? A lot of times people don't realize they've been violated until much later on, and it's perfectly normal. To me, this is just beyond just they were so excited of the song. And when he asked them to take the video down out of respect, all David did was ask him how much money it would cost for him to keep this video up, offering him a couple $100s. And later on his podcast, David admitted that he loved this prank even more because he knew Seth's friends from back home would give him shit for not only kissing another man with camera, but it also going viral.
Let's talk about this.
pulled a prank on my friend Seth. Oh, it's great. Yeah. And I talk about it. It's probably the best prank I've ever pulled on anyone, in my opinion. Like with tongue, they start making out, and at this point, we're like 5 seconds in, and I'm like, this is it. This is what I wanted. I got what I wanted. I'm out. Like, we can end this. I'm like, I literally, I think I looked up at the ceiling, and I'm like, God, what did I do to deserve such a... And then Seth finally lets up after 25 seconds of making out with Jason, and he sees Corinna, and he just fucking loses it. Yeah, it was great. It was my favorite thing. You can't fake that. You know? It was just... wouldn't be something you could ever fake. It was so perfect, and I feel so bad, and it's just... It's awful because poor guy had to go through that. His friends are probably going to chew him out for that for the next, 3-5 years of his life. Well, as Seth tells it, the homosexuality is not so accepted in kids where he comes from. Seth's from Compton. Dudes kissing dudes is not so accepted. Seth's from Compton, so it's like the perfect, these straight dudes kissing straight dudes. Perfect setup.
This guy has no remorse for the people he puts in his vlogs. He treats them like pawns in his game, and the more desperate you are for clout, the more he seems to want to fuck with you and then toss you aside like a dirty rag. It's like the cost of clout is being embarrassed in his vlogs. He's constantly talking down on his supposed friends, and overall he's being exposed from all angles. Because a new story has broken where a woman named Hannah came forward with some alarming allegations regarding David and a former member of his squad who goes by the name Dom. Keep in mind, this guy Dom is one of David's childhood friends who he chose to bring to LA. She says one of her friends named Sarah was in contact with Dom and made the connection for them to all spend some time together with the vlog squad and a few of her college friends. Of course, David was fishing for content, and some really immoral things went down that night. Also, he could get some footage for a vlog he later released on YouTube. And the following are just some quotes from a Business Insider article written about this situation. As soon as she walked in the door, Hannah said, someone shoved a camera in her face. She has one line of dialogue in the video. As she and her friend sit down on the couch, Hannah is heard saying she doesn't actually know who anyone in the vlog squad is. Get the fuck out, vlog squad member Jason Nash yells in response as everyone laughs. In real life, Hannah says she didn't find the banter funny. At one point, she said Nash, who was 45 at the time, made a comment along the lines of, oh, you have a personality? Hot girls like you usually don't. I immediately felt really uncomfortable because I was under the impression that we were going to meet these really cool content creators. We were going to hang out, maybe film something, but it was high pressure from the moment we walked in. Hannah told Insider that she felt pressured by Dom and the other vlog squad members into helping them create content that objectified her. She said Dom took turns interacting with Hannah and her friends, and that he pulled her onto his lap at one point without asking permission. Also, I want to chime in right here to say everything she says in this article seems legit. I have watched the footage, and David and his friends are some absolute cringe gods. I mean, this was a terrible environment to just walk into. It was very much an environment where it felt like saying no was not okay, Hannah said. It felt like from the moment we came, there was an expectation that they were doing us a favor and that we had to give them some content. They were verbally like, why aren't you guys being fun? Do something sexy. Hannah said Dom started calling her baby and asking if she wanted to be his Instagram girlfriend. She said Dom told her she could make $2,000 a week to become famous if she agreed, but Hannah says she declined and Dom briefly seemed to move on from her. A while later, Hannah says Dom approached her again and asked her if he could talk to her. She agreed and said Dom led her out of the room that her friends were in, down a dark hallway, and into a pitch black bedroom. Hannah says Dom guided her in through the door, and she said she quickly turned around and told him she wanted to go back to where her friends were. But Dom blocked the exit with his body and started asking her why she didn't like him and why she wouldn't date him. Hannah said Dom asked if they could hook up. She replied no, which he said, no, you at least have to give me a kiss. She says she was getting really scared at this point because he wasn't letting her leave, and her friends were in a totally different part of the house. I was like, what happens if I keep saying no? So I just gave him a kiss. She returned to where her friends were sitting, and around that time she said a couple members of the vlog squad returned with a dark-colored bottle of liquor. I also want to stop the story right here and say that it was rumored that this guy Jeff was the one who supplied the alcohol, but he since denied that allegation on the H3 podcast, though at that time he also confirmed everything else that happened that night, including all of this illegal activity done by this guy Dom and David being the one setting up this whole scenario. Trisha Paytas was also at the apartment for about 45 minutes that night with Hannah and her friends. Paytas said the night was not a good situation. She said she left because the women were drinking while underage, which felt insane to her. Paytas also said the women made it clear that they did not want to have groups with Dom. Hannah said she drank so much alcohol the night she filmed with the vlog squad that she blacked out. Sarah told Insider that Hannah wanted to go to Dom's room with Dom while intoxicated with their friend Aubrey. And although Sarah said she could tell that Hannah was drunk, she was comfortable with letting her go into the room because Hannah wouldn't be alone with Dom. I just remember seeing her and Dom talking a lot, added Sarah, who said Hannah and Dom were both drinking. They were both on the floor and definitely a lot of alcohol was being exchanged and kind of like nudged toward her. There were definitely times when she was drinking it of her own volition, but there were also times when he was clearly trying to get her to drink more. Sarah said Hannah was able to walk into the room, but that she could tell she was drunk because she started talking excessively and expressed abstract thoughts. She was not fully coherent and articulate, Sarah said. You could tell she was definitely affected by something. It was very obvious in the way that she was speaking, which was very fast and alive. Keep in mind, this girl at the time was under drinking age. Once Hannah and Aubrey were in the room with Dom, Sarah said the other members of the vlog squad started trying to listen in. Some of them even opened the door to look at what was happening. And Sarah said in retrospect she thought that it was disgusting that people were watching. Obviously, Hannah did not consent to the act itself, but she especially did not consent to having multiple men peek their heads in to confirm what was happening. Sarah said David Dobrik was among the vlog squad members trying to look into the room. She shared a video of David she took that night with Insider, in which he can be seen responding to someone asking if he found success in getting into the room with Dom. No, he locked the door, Dobrik responds in the video, camera in hand. Sarah said Dom and Audrey came out of the room first, and that Sarah went in after him to find Hannah lying limp on the bed. Sarah said she was immediately concerned, and that she remembered Hannah tugging on her ear and asking where her earring was. Hannah said she does not remember having sex with Dom, and that Audrey had to be the one to tell her. Specifically, Hannah said Audrey told her that Dom was having sex with Hannah and didn't stop as Hannah showed signs of losing consciousness. So Audrey took over to get him to stop. I'll spare some of the other details, but her friends made it very clear that she was too drunk to consent and that this night really negatively affected her life and overall was very traumatic. And in the vlog that featured Hannah, the bit about the included scenes that Sarah said was shot that night, as well as a scene Sarah said was reshot to make it look like it occurred that night. In the scene shot as the sex was occurring, Dobrik and the other vlog squad members joke about Dom having sex with Hannah and Audrey. In one scene, a member is standing in the hallway outside Dom's room and says, to get in there to get a head count for the vlog. A guy named Wittig then opens the door and tells Dobrik there's nothing. Then a guy named Antonian opens the door and says, oh my god, while Dobrik laughs. Then a guy named Smith says, I'm getting kind of horny just listening to this. And the four men laugh. In the next scene, Dom is standing in his room drenched in sweat. Sarah said she did not believe this scene was shot while she was in the apartment. Dom was having sweat that night. Dom says, thanks David, and gives him a high five after Dobrik asks if it was his first threesome. At the end of the vlog, Dobrik films himself in the car. Sarah said this situation has been filmed for 8 nights since the men wearing the same clothes and had left the building in the test. Dobrik says, Dom just had a threesome for all before Smith interrupts him to say, going to jail. Dobrik laughs and says, I think we're all going to jail. Cavilo then says, see you in 20 years. And later when speaking about the video, David said, when they all got there, they were like, oh no, I don't want to have sex. I don't want to have sex. Except 2 of the girls wanted to have sex, so he ended up having a threesome, which was still his first threesome, and it was very exciting for him. His friend then asked if the other vlog squad members peeked into the room to confirm Dom was having sex with the 2 women as they were depicted in the vlog, and Dobrik said, yeah, well you know, he didn't have sex with them unless we saw it with our own eyes. In a closing statement, Hannah says, it's difficult to describe how it feels knowing that millions of strangers have seen a video of me in a night that affected me, traumatized me in nearly incomprehensible ways, not knowing that anything was wrong. So that's her story as told by Business Insider. Like I've said, these are all allegations at this moment, but if there is any truth to this story, it's very, very bad on David Dobrik and all his friends. So guys, at the end of the day, creator and the leader of the community, you're responsible for your members at the very least. They're around you. If David is creating this type of toxic, dangerous environment and enabling these creepy guys all for the sake of flawed content, then he's a piece of shit. Like I said, it seems to me like he preys on people who want clout and or are infatuated with the influencer lifestyle. It took David months, but he finally responded to every allegation, conveniently leaving this more serious one out of his 2-minute and 31-second apology video where he disabled the ratings and comments. How are you gonna call the video "Let's Talk" and then turn off all the comments? That seems like a really shady thing to do. And all David did the entire video was deflect all the blame onto his friends. He says that some of his views have changed over the years, and he barely even apologizes to Seth. Like I said, he didn't mention that night with the girl in the slightest. Listen, this wasn't enough. This is a garbage-ass, half-baked apology that's just the kid apologizing after he got caught red-handed, talking about how your friends have done all this bad shit. Well, where there's smoke, there's usually fire. And I really do think this is only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to David and his friends. Alright guys, so it's kind of crazy, but literally while I'm editing this right now, it's like 7 in the morning, David actually slapped a second apology video because his first one was so garbage. And I'll admit guys, in this video David does take more strides, take responsibility, and take a little bit of accountability, but honestly I think he was only doing this because this made trending news. He was only doing this because he lost all of his sponsorships overnight. And one thing I don't like about this apology is that he acts like he knew nothing about the situation. There's been pictures of him all that night where you can clearly see the girl being dragged out because she can't even walk, she's so drunk. I mean, I guess it really is the only thing he can do now. So I gotta say I respect it a lot more than the first video. But I don't know if I'm really behind it, guys. To be honest with you. He still created that environment. He still got lost in the sauce and was doing anything to make content. I mean, at the end of the day, he saw these girls stupid jokes, and he got, oh, with the perfect opportunity to take out my camera and film. And now people are just gonna let him off the hook? Personally, I don't think that's right. Now, am I saying he should be canceled? No, probably not. But I feel like he should get off the hook and slap on the wrist. Y'all can go watch his apology. Y'all tell me what you think down below in the comments. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching today. Thank you for subscribing. I worked really hard on this video, so please drop a like and maybe share it with a friend. And as always, it's been your boy, the Tan Superman. You guys know some other news out here needs to get covered, so I'm out. Peace. So there's this old saying that you shouldn't mix friendship with business, and over the last couple of weeks, we've had a perfect example of that concept coming to life in the form of the drama that's going on with the YouTube group 2Hype. I'm assuming a lot of people will not know who this group is. Let's kind of summarize it for you. 2Hype was originally formed in 2017. Some of the biggest names in the 2Hype community started doing collaborations with each other. These collab videos were so successful that they started to garnish a cult-like audience of mainly kids who couldn't wait to see what their favorite video game / basketball YouTubers would do next. It was like Jake Paul, but for sporty kids, not the spazzes.
It made it so much hype to see how we all hoop. So we just started with a basketball video. We started I played this became something.
So they went on like that for about a year, where they would just pop up on each other's channels, and this is when they finally decided to take things to the next level. By 2018, there were 10 members of the group: Jesser, Cash, 50 Cal Mal, LSK, aka Chris London, Zach, Jidel, Moby, TD, Los, and Walker. And by that time, these guys were pretty much all living in a Calabasas mansion dubbed the 2Hype House, and they tried to grind out their dreams of internet fame and clout. Also, I say pretty much everybody because a few months away from them. It would prove to be a very smart decision down the road, because as we all know, having roommates is not easy. And when you combine that with the pressures of being a social media influencer who has to make content every single day, it's kind of like a recipe for disaster.
The whole space, the whole house included, is like one big giant film house. Living in a house like this, you have to be open to being filmed like
all the time, pretty much 24/7.
Because with this newfound success, obviously came a lot of money and notoriety for every member in the group. I personally hadn't caught wind of this channel until 2019 when I started watching Los Polos stream on Twitch and saw some of the videos he was in where I immediately recognized Chris London, but not really anyone else in the group, well, I guess besides Cash. For this reason, I want to take a proverbial magnifying glass and look at what's going on with this guy specifically in the current day, because his rise to success and fall from grace has been something that you don't see every day. Don't get me wrong, this man is rich, he is traveling. See guys, back in 2012 2015, I wanted to be what you call a storytime YouTuber, where you basically get in front of the camera and tell stories about your life in a funny and entertaining way.
The closer he got to her, the more stuff she started doing to me. Like, right when he got there, she was holding my hand. And then, like, the more the conversation ensued, he, like, immediately grabbed her arm. Mom, I'm sorry if you're watching this, but this bitch had a handful of my dick. Like, she just grabbed it. We had a kiss, we hadn't done anything. She just grabbed my dick.
These days, that genre doesn't really exist here on YouTube anymore, but at the time, it was the shit. I looked up to guys like Swoozy and Kev Jumba in my youth, and through them, I found Chris London one day, because back then, this was his style of content.
Your soul. Yeah, fuck you. You're annoying. I'll follow your girl on Instagram. What the fuck are you doing in her pictures? I don't want to see you. Get the fuck out.
Enough of the sad stuff. Let's lighten up, people. Let's lighten up. Do I have any pets? I had a cat. The thing is, it died.
I watched him a lot for about a year's time, as I actually found a lot of influence in his videos at the time, and I thought he was a top-notch creator. But after I went to college in 2015, I fell off the YouTube scene for a couple years because I was focused on school, work, and personal relationships, and I had kind of given up on my YouTuber dreams. I guess basically what I'm trying to say is that I didn't watch or even think about this dude for a few years, so you could imagine my amazement when I saw what he was doing with 2Hype and his personal brand. Out here meeting LeBron James and playing one-on-one with James Harden. So I thought, man, that's awesome how successful this dude became, but only a few months after I discovered 2Hype and this new LSK persona, rumors started circulating that Los Polos wanted out and that he was having serious issues with several members of the group, most notably Chris London.
I'm in a fucking huge-ass mansion, and that's the worst I've ever felt my whole fucking life, bro. How are you someone's friend, bro? And you're literally talking shit behind their back. Why am I always getting fucking shit on and fucking, like, dude, you guys have seen from old videos and shit, just for no reason, just be, like, literally just getting insulted and, like, not even, like, like, embarrassing type of fucking insult ways.
This is kind of what set off the red flags in my head because, for one, this was really the only member of this group I was familiar with, and for two, for the most part, Los pretty much keeps it real. He's not the brightest bulb in the pack, but he seems authentic to me, so I kind of took his word as bond, right? And so Los left the group and found his own success about a year and a half ago, but only now I'm really starting to see the seams unravel on this Los situation, as the group's original core has almost completely disbanded at this point. And it seems like the breaking point is when 2Hype decided to do a collab with Thieves, who's one of the biggest gaming organizations on the planet, and apparently some of the members didn't like that, because this is when Tyler, aka Moby, said he was done with the group, and he said that basically the only thing Chris and Jesser, who are kind of like the head up at 2Hype, that the only thing they care about is money, and it just wasn't really fun anymore. This really opened up Pandora's box, as Moby was always kind of seen as, you know, the more innocent member of the group who was, like, conscious of positive influence. So he was coming out saying something negative, you know, it's really fucked up. And so, like I said, this really opened up Pandora's box, and all those members who had left over the last 2 years, or kicked out, or whatever you want to call it, they started coming out and speaking really negatively about their experience at 2Hype. And like I said, with Chris London and Jesser at the helm of this whole operation, they caught most of the blame.
I could have spent close to 2 hours just talking about all the lies and the amount of times LSK contradicts himself. Let me just say this. These people have snaked a lot of others over the years.
Like from Chris and Zach, I was not wanting to talk to Los and TD and Goofy. I thought she did that too because of things they said, but they were just untrue to get me to not talk to them and keep the group, just everybody against these people, so they seem like the bad people.
Oh, right. I don't.
No, I mean, with me, you talk shit. Multiple times. For God knows how fucking long.
Keep in mind that these are people who once considered each other brothers, who also felt so betrayed and slighted, all in the name of money, that they felt the need to publicly address how fucked up the situation really was, even all these years later. And to make matters worse, Chris made a now deleted horrible response video where he exposed confidential information about various members of the group and took absolutely no blame for his actions. Look, at least the white dude owned up to some of his mistakes and admitted some of the stuff he did or said was wrong. As for Chris, the first video he created made him look really bad. It's pretty obvious even from the outside looking in that this man became too infatuated with chasing the bag and basically managed to lose himself in the sauce. You guys really have to understand that this group of people really started out as friends. So when things get a little bit messy, some people get pretty emotional. But not this tall, lanky motherfucker. He doesn't seem to give a shit about anyone but himself and his business. And I guess rightfully so. There's no love or emotion when it comes to business moves for most successful people. So great, this guy is successful, but like I said, at what cost? At the end of the day, even people he still considers friends all admit that he's at the very least shady and very emotional. And at the very worst, he's a flat-out clout demon who will use anyone as a stepping stone to get what he wants. I will cut him some slack and admit that navigating a ship this massive is not an easy task, as in this whole YouTube shit, you're pretty much just floating out in uncharted territory trying to hit some land. And he does have to be a pretty smart and hardworking guy to reel this all up. Also, there's nothing wrong with getting the bag or wanting to save money, but that doesn't give you an excuse to treat other people like shit and talk behind their back, only to discard them to the side like a snot rag when you feel like they don't deserve it, especially when they have a major hand in building up their career. But like I said, at the end of the day, the bottom line is this is why you don't mix friendship with business, because when it gets messy, it's not a good look for any of those involved. I'm not going to go too far into the details because there's a lot of stuff going on. But I thought it was a good lesson for you guys to learn, and I thought it was a good thing to display on this channel. Let me know what you guys think about all this too-hot drama. Let me know what you guys think about this story. Would you ever go into business with some of your best friends? Let me know down below. As always, thank you for watching. It's been your boy, Tan Superman. I'm out. So yesterday, someone sent me this Instagram page that quite frankly just blew me away. And not in a good way. Preachers on this planet, college students with large social these two grab society like many others because capitalistic economy to shoot their shot at a nice money grab.
Due to the pandemic, tens of thousands of American college students will be taking their courses remotely.
They're missing out on the college student experience because of online learning. However, two Princeton grads are trying to change that.
Enter the U experience.
You experience the you experience. This is the socializing while also learning.
We have two hotels in Arkansas, which let me just say are two drastic places. They're using these hotels as bubbles, kind of like they did for a few months so they could finish the NBA season, something that cost millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. They're going to bring 150 students from all over the world who are studying remotely from different universities and seek to give them the social life they've been dying to be a part of while Ms. Corona rears her ugly head, all for the price of $15,000 a semester, which is actually more than it costs to go to a good amount of universities.
What do I want to get out of the experience?
What ways do I contribute to the experience? Ways I can contribute to the experience.
It's going to be a lot better than living in Missouri with my parents. Please get this girl out of Virginia.
Hey, I'm Adam. Hey, I'm Chris. And I'm Lane for the U Experience, a company creating physical communities for online college students. We're going to show you exactly what our business has to offer.
First of all, I just want to come out and say that I do not trust this plan or these guys in the slightest. Neither of them have any experience or education in hospitality, event planning,
or really anything that would help them get this accomplished. At the very best, I think this could turn into the Fire Fest for college students, and at the very worst, it seems like a ploy for human trafficking. Either way, only an absolute imbecile would even consider spending their money on this shit. These guys want you to spend $15,000 so that you can live in a hotel for 5 months. Are motherfuckers really that thirsty for social interaction with 150 strangers? You can't even come and go to see your own family. What if something would have happened to someone, or even you? Not to mention, I see people still having these pandemic parties all the time. I've seen people both in and out of college getting turned like it's the summer of 2016. Most dorm buildings don't have a gym in them. Most dorm buildings don't have a bar inside. Most dorm buildings don't have a pool, Russell said. And so really we see this as something that, because colleges charge so much for room and board, we can offer much, much more than they're offering at the same price. Dude, you're charging $15,000 and most hotel gyms are fucking garbage. Every college in this goddamn country has a rec center, and most have a pool in almost every apartment you can show up to. Not to mention a bar around every corner. So I'm not really seeing the dilemma. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the Instagram page in question. They have about 12,000 followers. Their bio says, "Your college moved online, you've come to the right place. Accepting 150 students for an in-real-life college experience." And it's not really a college experience, it's just a big old hangout, you douchebags. So we asked students what they miss most about university. Here's what they had to say. Someone over here says, "Personally, I miss the raw sex and STDs.
I miss the interaction. Long-lasting friendship, which is extremely important to me during university time. These contacts are very valuable in business later, and it is absolutely necessary to build those."
Yeah, that's what everyone says during college. Oh, you build your network, you know, it's very important. But it really seems like a whole lot of bullshit. You know, at the end of the day, you really just need to know that one person is going to get you to the store, and from there on out, you can kind of just do your own thing.
The fact that we have to stay home affects everyone, not just me. We all need to meet up with friends, laugh, and share with them. I find it healthy.
Yeah, you're not going to find it very healthy when your face is in a ventilator. These douchebags have the audacity to send out a happy Thanksgiving message where they end it with "stay safe." And literally their whole plan here is to accommodate those people who don't have enough self-control, get their ass down at home, and shut the fuck up until this whole pandemic rolls around. It's kind of ironic. These are actually going to be some of the students you can find, you know, at one of these bubble universities. Okay, you got Sumner. Okay, what kind of name is that? You got Sumner from UT. Okay, this chick's from my home state, from my hometown. Let's see what's going on with her. 149,000 followers. Yeah, I think y'all know what these guys saw in their application. You got Austin, who's also from Texas. Okay, he goes to Princeton University. Looks like a douche. Okay, looks like a huge douchebag. Into your drink at a party. We got Isabella, and let's see what's going on with her Instagram. Yeah, so 27,000 followers. So they're vetting these people, and they're making sure they got decent-sized followings online. Okay, so here's a little promo they apparently put together for the university. They say, "No masks, no social distancing, a real college experience, spring 2021. Learn now." There's the pool. Yep, looks like a hotel. Wow, so luxurious. So luxurious. Looks like every hotel in America. What a fucking scam, dog. What a fucking scam. The first comment, watch these kids get COVID. Oh, Jesus. So yeah, I guess people are going to be getting tested. They say they've partnered up with Veritas Testing and their team of epidemiologists and medical professionals. And they're going to be the ones giving you the test at school so you don't all get sick, apparently.
Is this going to be NBA style? In other words, when you get there, in either Arkansas or Hawaii, you're now in a bubble, you're now in a lockdown environment with constant testing?
Exactly. So we're going to test the students even before they get to campus to make sure that they're not bringing anything into the local communities that we're involved in. And then once they are on campus, they will be under strict protocols. We have an entire handbook on our website, making sure that our students are keeping themselves and the communities and staff members safe. We'll be limiting their exposure to possible sources of contagion. And likewise, we do see this as something where, significant health crisis. We are also kind of in, I think, the early stages of a significant mental health crisis. And really, I think we're going to... What a fucking idiot trying to catch up. That's really all I have to say. I think it's absolutely tone deaf. I do think that if you are dumb enough to pay the 15 racks and, take your chances doing this, you kind of deserve, everything bad that could happen. It's like all the idiots that thought the Fire Fest was going to be fire, and it was straight garbage. I just wanted to come on here today to say don't fall for this scam. That's all this is a scam. It's a bunch of bullshit. A couple Princeton fucks trying to pull the wool over you guys' eyes. Let me know what you guys think about the situation down below. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching. Hope you had an amazing Thanksgiving, and stay safe, guys. All right, I'm out. Peace. Yo, what's going on, guys? So like I always say before these types of videos, you can send me a crazy story, a situation for a chance to be featured next time. All you have to do is email me at jamariadvice@gmail.com. Once again, that's jamariadvice@gmail.com. Whether you need advice on your love life, your financials. Alright, yo, what's going on, everybody? So like I always say before these types of videos, if you want a chance for your crazy situation or your crazy predicament to be featured next time, all you have to do is email me at jamariadvice@gmail.com. Once again, that's jamariadvice@gmail.com. Whether you need relationship advice, life advice, financial advice, but like I said, guys, now we got an email from you guys. It's going to be a real big deal. The subject of this email is how we say the woman's been betrayal. Not just a girlfriend, He says, Jamari, I'm a big fan of yours and wanted to ask for some relationship advice. That's what I'm here for. I'm a math teacher, and my wife is the principal of a local location. Attached to the high school. Okay, so she's a teacher and she's a principal of this school where, vocational school, I believe, is where people go to learn trades. They want to learn things like something like that, before they get out of high school. Probably don't want to go to college type of school. Not believe that you should shoot where you be. Like, I don't think that I ever want to work with my but I feel like even that can be kind of choppy. I don't believe you should mix pleasure with business, I want to remain anonymous, so my wife has a W. Well, it sounds like she's about 7 years ago. At the time, we were both teachers in the same high school. I still work class, different events. It's kind of crazy. A teacher needs to stand up in the math, so maybe he said, fuck that language. So that year I was trying to as a result, my partner. I couldn't help but chuckle at this small girl wearing my oversized gym clothes. Oh yeah, you know why you're chuckling. You're like, you know what, if that's how you look at my clothes,
Imagine how you look on this dick. Her smile was infectious, and I immediately felt the connection. Oh yeah, you were trying to feel something, sir. The senior class was in first place when we took the floor as our final team. Their throw distance was just shy of the entire gym length. Yeah, I do believe this guy's actually a math teacher with the way he's writing this email with his calculated ass. We did one quick egg toss from about 15 feet apart to get our bearings. I then told her to go to the end of the gym and place her foot against the back of the wall. Oh my god, this guy's a savage. I did the same on my end. We were going to attempt to win the event with that one throw. Damn, so the whole gym is watching them. You know, he's expecting this small woman to throw an egg all the way across the gym. He says she threw the egg as far as she could, and I caught it. We had won. Man, this must mean that you guys are destined to get married, right? I ran to her and picked her up in celebration. This man was on one. He had a boner in those gym shorts. I knew this woman was the one for me, he says. Apparently not, sir. Apparently not. After the festivities ended, I asked her on a date, but she told me she was engaged. Okay, well, at least she's honest. You know, you're over here picking up an engaged woman with your boner. I was crushed, but knew she was the one for me. I never gave up hope and kept in contact with her. Soon enough, she broke it off with her fiance, and she was mine. Okay, so you're one of those guys that lurks around in the shadows waiting for a bad event to happen. You know, I hate to say it, but I feel like that can create some bad karma, you know, when you're just lurking around waiting for something bad. We dated for a short period of time before getting married. Big mistake. We now have 2 young boys aged 2 and 4. Wow. So this story in the gym to having 2 kids. Like I said, we were correct. About 6 months ago, she was distant to me and the boys and acted like she was hiding something. Oh no. Eventually it came out that she was cheating on me with the high school athletic director. Oh, so she's going for the alpha male move. Okay, she saw that athletic director, he's directing all these young athletes, and she wanted a piece of that. You know, there's always a bigger fish out there. We will call him D. D is the definition of someone who never left high school. He is a raging douche who enjoys screaming at students, typical coach, while wearing his old high school football jersey. Are you serious? That man's gonna go out there and throw a couple of touch passes? He has beaten past girlfriends and hits on the high school girls. Despite this, women still seem to flock to him. Oh yeah, he's the classic bad boy, and you're the math nerd sitting in the back. And this is crazy that it's all happening within your adulthood. This seems like something that would happen to you when you're 16 years old. I suspect it's due to his full head of hair and overconfidence. So I'm just going to assume that you are bald, sir. And yeah, of course he's confident. He's probably one of those guys that is almost like a fucking modern day caveman. They have like angry and pretty. And when you find that attractive, you know, at least some women do this. Bringing women out here with them. It sounds like you fell in love with them. Anyways, my life is in shambles. I love my wife unconditionally, but she truly broke my trust. And I don't know if I can ever completely forgive her. Yeah, man, I mean, it's one thing if, you know, a little girlfriend or something cheats on you. This is your wife. This is the woman that you decided to plant your seeds in. This is the woman that you have kids with. And now she did this horrible thing to you, and the trust maybe could never come back. He says, I have told her that we will make it work for the kids' sake. Well, hey man, you know, there's a lot of divorced people out here making it work these days. You know, you don't need to put yourself through the ringer like it's some sort of 1950s woman who has to stay with a dude abusing her due to the fact that she doesn't have a job. Like, you could get out of this if you want to, you know, don't sit there and just keep shit in the bed. As part of the making it work agreement, we have a family trip to Disney World scheduled over winter break. Are you fucking kidding me? So this bitch cheats on you, and now she gets to go to Disney World as some sort of family counseling. You need to tell her, bitch, we need real counseling. If you really want to make this work, you need to go to some sort of marriage therapist. Disney World, get the fuck out of here with that shit. That's something people do after winning the Super Bowl, not cheating on their spouses. We agreed that getting out of town and trying to reconnect as a family is the best option, but I still have the feeling in the back of my mind that it will all be for nothing. Yeah, and you're wasting your math teacher's salary on this shit. She has already cheated on me and our relationship is broken. So my question is as follows. Should I take her back and go on this trip for the sake of my children? Or should I end it now and try and start a new life for me and my kids? Well, man, this is a deep question. This is a heavy question. And I'm going to do my best to answer it. So, first of all, I don't think you should take this trip. Like I said, why are you going to reward her bad behavior with a nice trip? Can you imagine if it blows up out there? You know, the worst thing ever is to be beefing with your significant other while you guys are on a trip together. Okay, it's just trash because you're supposed to be having a good time, and the whole time you're just thinking about this other coach, cream piner, with his full head of hair, and you're like, personally, I feel like this woman is willing to at least, like at the very least, into some sort of marriage counseling, and this is her way of like getting over the fact that she's banging some athletic directors. I don't think that's fair in my mind, and I think, you know, maybe it is time to move on. And honestly, in my experience, what I've seen with other people is that it can actually be, you know, very toxic when kids grow up in an environment where their parents, you know, aren't really in love and they're just staying together for the sake of the kids. Because, you know, it can just get very toxic really fast, and it can just be kind of a strange predicament, you know, to be living in. And a lot of times those people end up relying on their children for different types of support, whether it be emotional or just other types of things that they would normally be getting from a partner. You know, it's really your call, man. I don't really have enough information here in the email to tell you whether you should